I think this happened with a lot of people. It gave me the space to think about what I want to do with my life, like what is actually really important to me. And part of it was validating because I did want to travel and keep traveling. And I think a lot of people realized, oh, I want to, when travel is taken away, a lot of people realize that like, I haven't done anything on my bucket list. And if you ask people why they haven't done certain stuff, there's not really a great reason. It's just kind of sits on their list.
Hey, my feel good friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and once again, I am so stoked to share today's guest with you. Her name is Katie. She's super awesome, and she is a travel advisor and planner for folks who want to take trips around the world and take vacations that are memorable, meaningful, and responsible. Right? Oh, so you can imagine in today's conversation, we totally geek out about all things travel. Katie shares some info behind the scenes of how she does what she does as a travel advisor, which I think is super interesting. And we also talk a lot about how you can create videos for your business. She shares how she captures videos for her vlog. We talk about content repurposing. We talk about how you can capture content without it taking away from enjoying the moments in your life, right? And then she also shares some tips for putting her videos on YouTube and Instagram and all that jazz. It's a super awesome conversation. I know you're going to love Katie as much as I do. So if you do enjoy this episode, please take a screenshot and share it to your Instagram stories. And make sure that you tag both of us. I'm at Feel Good Social. Katie is at Brio Travel _. It's linked in the show notes here. If you tag us when you share it in your stories, we will totally reshare it and spread some love right back to you because I would love to connect with you over there, and I won't see the story unless you tag me. So make sure you tag me at Feel Good Social, okay? All right, without further ado, let's dive into this awesome conversation with this amazing woman. Hey, friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Do you know what your brand vibe is on Instagram? I have a new fun quiz that's just for you, my friend. I, of all people, know how hard it is to figure out how the heck you're supposed to translate your brand to the gram. And with this quick 7-question quiz, we will help you hone in on your brand's personality, voice, and visuals so that you can show up consistently and create content that looks beautiful and feels on brand for you. This quiz is so awesome. It's been a long time coming, and I know that you're going to have a lot of fun with it. Plus, the results will help you show up in the best way for you. If you'd like to check out our new brand vibe quiz, just head to feelgoodsocial.com/quiz. Pretty easy. Head to feelgoodsocial.com/quiz to find out what your brand's vibe is on social media and start showing up there for your brand. Hi, Katie. Thank you so much for coming on the Feel Good Social podcast, lady. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. It's surreal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. And it's going to be such a great conversation. But I did already introduce you just a little bit in the intro, but I always like to hear from you. Who are you? What do you do? And who do you serve?
Yeah, so I'm Katie from Brio Travel. I'm originally from right outside Chicago, but I have been living and working abroad for almost 8 years now. So the better part of a decade, which is crazy, just kind of doing the digital nomad life. And so through, obviously through that, I have a huge passion for traveling and kind of decided to turn that into a business. And so what Brio Travel does is helps people to travel with intention. And so it's really focused on meaningful, memorable, and responsible travel to connect people to the world, and just inspire people to get out there and travel more. Yeah. And so, I mean, I serve anybody who kind of connects with that message. I know that people just think that time or the desire to sit down and actually plan, or just the overwhelm, anxiety, and kind of all of the negative feelings that are supposed to come that come with what is supposed to be this really exciting, wonderful trip. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it so much. Yeah. The meaningful, memorable, responsible travel. Like that message just like resonates with me so much with Brio. So I cannot wait to dive into that. But I do always like to kind of start out these interviews by asking people about their backstories and like how they got started doing what you're doing. So what did that journey look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been on the road for a while. I did kind of odd jobs and then was doing like an office job, working remotely. But the more that I travel and talk to people, I was just hearing people asking, they always ask like, how do you travel so much? Or, they wanted to travel more. And I was realizing that people see travel as this scarcity and like luxury. And it's totally possible for that doesn't have to be that way. There's this narrative in the United States of grind and hustle culture where, it's a point of pride that you haven't taken a day of vacation in 20 years, or, you only get X amount of sleep. And for me, it's a form of self-care. You can really like refill your cup by traveling. And through my experiences, like kind of the deeper, more meaningful travel, I really experienced and felt like empathy and like more humility and more curiosity and more like joy and excitement, which I think we can really use more of these days in the world. And so just wanting to kind of spread that message and share that kind of generally is kind of where the idea was born. And then it's just been a process of kind of honing that in and seeing what that looked like, and planning trips for people, designing trips for people, to be able to see that it is more possible to do that, and just to get them to think outside the box in the way that they travel is kind of where it has landed thus far. And I, hope it continues to change and grow as it continues on.
Oh, I love that. And I feel that so hard too. Yeah. Both being kind of growing up in the Midwest. I grew up in Northern Indiana, so I feel your Chicago area roots. And yeah, for sure. I mean, I've heard it from my mom, multiple times. Like I can remember her saying things like, "Oh, I would love to go there one day," or, and she's pretty adventurous, actually. Like I come from a pretty adventurous family, but it's like, oh yeah, like travel is like a luxury and all that different stuff. And so it's so great that you're like taking that and being like, no, this is possible, and this is how it's going to change your life, and this is how you can do it in a way that you could feel good about and isn't going to make you feel like you're a rotten person, right, and stuff like that. So
yeah, exactly.
And I feel like too, I'd love to know, like, how did kind of COVID affect like your own travels and or Brio, because I do feel like Brett and I actually went on like 6-month trip to Asia. Wait, like 8 months after we started dating, we went on this like 6-month trip to Asia, which was like one of the biggest, testaments. Like we got through that trip. It was amazing, of course, but like staying in the same room for 6 months with like your newish boyfriend. Yeah. It was like a test for our relationship. After that trip was like, well, okay, like I guess this guy is sticking,
Yeah, if you can make it through that, you can make it through anything.
Yeah, but we took that, back in 2017, 2018, and I was pretty new to travel, and I had just opened my eyes to all this stuff. And then COVID hit, and I was like, oh man, like I can't imagine how this is changing like the travel culture and environment. Like, what did that look like for you?
Well, so since I move around a lot, I found myself in Argentina when the pandemic hit. I just come to travel and kind of see what this country's all about. I heard wonderful things and ended up getting stuck here I'm back here again, but I ended up getting stuck for a year and a half in total because of that. And so, I mean, it totally changed my life because I I mean, I hadn't spent that much time in the same country since like 2013 or 14 or something like that. I really do just like move around a lot. And so it gave me the space to think about what I want to do with, I mean, I think this happened with a lot of people. It gave me the space to think about what I want to do with my life, like what is actually really important to me. And part of it was validating because I did want to travel and keep traveling. And I think a lot of people realized, oh, I want to, when travel is taken away, a lot of people realize that like I haven't done anything on my bucket list. And if you ask people why they haven't done certain stuff, there's not really a great reason. It's just that it kind of sits on their list. And so I think it's been a nice little kick in the booty for people to be like, okay, I'm going to start like doing this. And so it was, while it was tough on the travel industry, I got in kind of right after, as far as business wise, I got in when travel was starting to pick up again. And so it's been great because people really see the value that travel agents / travel advisors, they're the same thing. I think there's like this stigma from like the brick and mortar 90s travel agent. And like, that's like not what it is, but it's basically just having this cheerleader who's there for you, who does most of the heavy lifting. And then you get to enjoy it without having to do a lot of the work. But there's just so much that can go quote unquote wrong or just not according to plan. And so I think people are really starting to see the value in having this cheerleader who can help you in situations, whether or not something goes wrong, or if you're just like stressed out or like have a question. There's so many things to know. And so people are really starting to see the value in that, as well as just the value in travel and what travel can bring to one's life. And so I think that's a really exciting change that has come.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. Okay. Actually, you just brought up a great point in my mind. And I'm so glad that we got here near the beginning of the interview, because I do think that, actually, I think that maybe one of the things people don't know often is what exactly travel advisors or travel agents like can do for them and stuff. Because you just said, I'm also like a cheerleader for my people who hire me as they're going along in their trips and all that different stuff. And I'm like, wait, what? So real quick, let's just chat about like what actually you do when you're working with clients and whatnot.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is the component of designing a trip. I talk to you and make sure that we get to know each other, because this is like a partnership. Like you also have to work with me as well. And so I want to get to know you, like how you like to travel, what you like to do, and really personalize the trip to what you want to do. Like maybe you want to go to Rome, but don't want to see like all the museums. You want to like take day trips out and go hiking instead, or whatever. And so there's the kind of obvious component of that, but I'm also helping you every step of the way. I'm going to send you like how to order a coffee, because if you order a latte in Italy, that's their word for milk. And so you're going to get a glass of milk. And so just, things like that, cultural faux pas, kind of how to behave and be respectful in, places of worship, or just other random cultural things. Obviously that changes on the country and stuff, but just making sure you're as prepared as possible. So you're like, the more confident and the more or the more the more confident you are when you get there. So you can really just like dive in and enjoy, instead of having this period where you're always going to be kind of figuring stuff out, but where you're just excited because you are armed with all of that knowledge and information. And then obviously if anything happens or goes wrong, or you have any questions, I'm available to help you through that. But mostly just having somebody there who cares as much about your trip as you do, who's invested in you having this amazing time and has, control over how it goes, and talking to the partners that I work with. And then, everybody that I do work with on the other end of stuff, I'm making sure that the money and all that goes back into the community, and it's done in a responsible and like sustainable way as well, because that is it's important to me, but it's also important to a lot of people traveling these days and stuff. And so just kind of this full, well-rounded kind of, full package experience.
Oh, I love that so much. And it's like, because I've definitely been there where firstly, just the planning of a trip takes so much time and energy and tabs open on your computer and like,
oh my God, yeah.
and like trying to like compare things. And also exactly, it's like, it's a lot of information too that like, okay, once you figure out what kind of you do want to do, okay, finding transportation from here to there, or even like little things like, am I going to be able to wash my clothes? Like, I think I was telling you about how Brett's parents went to the Faroe Islands for a trip this past year or whatever, and in 2022. And they get there and like, there's nowhere to do laundry. There's like not laundry mats. And and Brett's mom said that one of the hotels they stayed at like offered to do their laundry, but it was like $50 a load or something. And like,
oh, wow.
Like all these like little details that like you still don't even realize. And like, getting SIM cards for your cell phone or like any of that. And all of these extra expenses that you don't even realize. And so I love the idea of having someone not only firstly help me plan the trip, because that just takes hours and hours and energy, and like trying to figure out all the things and nitty gritty details, but then also like having someone else being able to do the worrying while I'm trying to like, if I could have someone else take on the worry part of it, like while I'm enjoying my vacation, like that is so valuable to me. And I love the angle that you have of like the sustainability, putting money back into the community, because truly I do feel that in my heart as well. Just like traveling through Asia, like getting to know the people, realizing that tourism is such a big part of like Thailand culture, but also realizing what impact tourists are having on like the environment in Thailand and the beaches and the trash and all that stuff. It's like one of those things that you realize traveling. So that is so awesome and such a great angle. How do you go about kind of doing that? And also like kind of side question too, I'm almost thinking like when people work with you, when it comes to how much they spend and money wise, like as a travel advisor, you might actually be able to like help them save money in certain places and then also make sure that their money is going like to the places that they want it to go as well. Right. Or am I kind of off with that?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't really focus as much on the money aspect because I want to bring people like experiences and stuff. And so, I mean, it definitely doesn't cost like it's not this, again, like the thing from the 90s where you go and you think it's just going to be this like exorbitant cost and you're going to have to pay a ton extra because you're working with a travel advisor. And so that's not it at all. I don't do like the lowest budget thing or whatever. Again, just because of like experiences and stuff, but I do, it is really important to me to make travel accessible to everybody. And so I actually have a YouTube video coming out maybe this month or next month about kind of how to like think about your trip. And so if budget is going to be, because what people do mostly is they think about their destination, when they're going to go, and their budget. And they decide all of those at once and then try to force it into the same trip. And instead of doing that, like you need to pick one of those that is the most important. And then you have to pick the second. Well, you have to do it kind of in a row and think of them as separate things. So if budget is going to be the most important thing, then you might have to be a little flexible on your destination. And so you're going to go to like Asia is a great example that like isn't like crazy expensive instead of like Europe. Or if you really want to go to Europe, that's going to be if that's your second priority, then maybe you're going to have to think about the time of year that you go. So it's not going to be like high season or whatever. And so just again, that like thinking outside the box. And obviously those three things can be ordered in different ways, but and while you might feel like you're sacrificing something because your trip is changing a little bit based on each step of the process, you really are probably going to get a better trip and a trip that's more suited to exactly what you want instead of worrying about the money the whole time you're there because you tried to force all those things together, or worrying about like the time off that you like took extra to do or whatever it may be. If you really break it down and think about those think about it in those steps separately, you're going to get the trip that you want, even though if it sometimes might look a little bit different. It's the trip that you didn't even know that you needed, kind of thing. And so, yeah, just thinking about it differently. I think there's really been this kind of like one track way of thinking of traveling and vacations and stuff. And it doesn't have to be like that. And so I just want to help people start thinking differently about it.
I love that so much. And I love trifectas too. It reminds me of this trifecta that they talk about in business, where it's like quality, money, and time or something. Like if you want something fast and cheap, then it's not going to be quality, right? If you want something like quality and fast, then it's going to be expensive, some sort of, and so it's like the travel trifecta. And I love that too. And I love, yes. I was actually just thinking this. I love how not only are you helping your clients to plan their like dream vacations and figure out what exactly is the best vacation for you. How can we make it happen? And how can we make you enjoy it? Right. But also a lot of like mindset shifts are happening probably like in the conversations that you're having with people and your clients, where it's like, okay, get your head out of it, refocus on what actually truly is going to matter to you. That's what I run into with like travel and vacations sometimes, is like, and like any big life event, right? Even like I just planned a wedding last year, something like that. And it's like, you get so caught up in like the planning and like making sure everything goes right and all that stuff that you forget to actually like enjoy things, or like you can't actually enjoy the moment when you're in it. Right. So like, I'm sure that that's so, so helpful. Do you have to have conversations with your clients often when it comes to that mindset stuff, or are they pretty much like past that mindset stuff when they start working with you?
I guess it's not framed as mindset, even though you're totally right. That's exactly what it is. But yeah, usually on that first call, they'll tell me like what they're struggling with, and then I'll give them examples on how to like work around it. And they're like, oh, I've never thought about it that way. And then once they're able to do so, again, yeah, it's not framed that way, but yeah, just trying to kind of come at the issue in a different way. And then we kind of build off of that throughout the whole like trip planning process.
Awesome. And from like a messaging perspective too, guys, Katie's a member of the Feel Good Social Club. So we've had a few conversations about messaging and stuff. And I just like love this, this angle of like a misconception when it comes to your industry, right? Because like misconceptions are really, really great. If you can like change someone's mind about something, if you can kind of go against the grain of what a lot of other people are saying and change your client's mind about something, like that is just like so powerful, such a powerful angle for your messaging. Anyway, nerding out about that sort of stuff. We'll get to that later. Okay. I really do want to talk to you about the marketing stuff though. But before we do that, I would love to hear if you have any favorite places that you've traveled, or I know that this is going to be a tough question because it's always hard to choose favorites, right? But do you have any like favorite amazing memories or places that you've traveled?
As far as like just traveling and not like, because I mean, for me, like Italy is my everything. I'm obsessed with everything about it. Could talk for days, years about it. That's where I want to live forever. Italy is and will always be my everything. Also, Argentina has like a really big place in my heart as well. But as far as like kind of like really individual trips that I've taken, I've really found that like wildlife has been just like so incredible to me. And so I just recently went to Antarctica, and that was the best like trip I've ever taken. You're just in nature, and there's just nothing there but nature, and there's very few people that have been there, and the penguins are so friggin' adorable. I didn't even know how cute they were. I've seen them in other countries, but they're just like such little goobers. I can't. They're so amazing. And I also did a safari in Uganda, and so went to go see the gorillas there, the mountain gorillas. It's only 3 countries in the whole world you can go see them, and Uganda is one of them. And so you can also see like the big 5, like lions and giraffes and leopards and elephants and zebras, and just amazing wildlife. And so I found more recently that I really love where I can kind of get out and be active as well as see wildlife and and also like cultures that are really, really different that kind of push me outside of my comfort zone. And I'm getting a different perspective of life, I guess. I had a hard time in Asia when I first got there, because I also spent like 9 months there. I lived there and traveled around, and I heard the sentence come out of my mouth so many times. Well, in the United States, we would do it like this. And I said it so many times and just get like so upset about it. And then I finally thought, Katie, if you want to be in the United States, like go back there. Like that's not what you came here for. And I try to just take, bits and pieces from every culture that I visit and kind of take that away with me into my life and have like a little amalgamation of everything. And so just kind of learning and eating everywhere that I go is like the big takeaway for me.
Oh, yes, girl. Well, we have similar souls, my lady, because over here, like, yes, eating, seeing the wildlife and adventure. And a lot of this stuff, like, I don't think, I had done some traveling. I did like Italy, Greece, and just Paris and France, like in high school and stuff. But I didn't really have like a lot of travel experience as an adult until the Asia trip, right? So I was like kind of a little bit nervous because, in high school, we're like following the teachers around and stuff. Yeah. And like Asia was like our first, like big trip for me as an adult, like out of the country and stuff. And we started it in China. And me too. Oh, it was really?
Yeah.
I think we had talked about that before. I didn't know that was your first place, but yeah, like that was your
first solo trip, and it was nutso.
And it's just like so different. Guys, like no Google or Instagram or Facebook, right? Like when I went at least, and and so we were like printing out our like directions to give to people and stuff. And the culture, like that's what I didn't realize either, is like how different the culture was. Remember, like in China, there's like just so many people, and it's like normal for like for there to not be lines, like people just like push each other. Like it's just so different.
There was one time I was in a cab, and I had to take, because of the no Google thing, I took like screenshots of like addresses and all that stuff. And I had some written down, but there's a pretty big like illiteracy rate, I think, for like cab drivers and stuff. And so if they weren't like, sometimes even writing it down like wasn't helpful. And so he took me to the wrong hotel, but he didn't speak a word of English, and I didn't speak very much. I mean, I don't speak any Mandarin except for like hello and thank you.
Yeah.
And there was a point where he was like, I was on the phone and he was like, the screenshot was, and I was like, this isn't it? Like, it's not the hotel. And he kept doing like phone, I can't describe the action. The phone, like,
yeah, like a phone. She's holding up her hand to her face, like a phone.
Yeah. I was like, call them. And I was like, my phone doesn't work. I don't have data. And I did like an X, because on my phone screen, I did like an X with my fingers. I didn't know that in China, they have a system where they can count to 9 on like one hand, and then 10 they do the X with the finger. And so I was like, why doesn't he understand that I don't have a phone? And he's like, why does she keep saying 10?
Oh, no.
If you like say it louder, maybe they'll understand you. And so it was malicious, but we were just kind of like yelling like towards one another. And it was like 1:00 at night or in the morning at like in one of the biggest cities, and we just like couldn't figure it out. And going through those situations and realizing that like you can figure it out is like one of the most empowering feelings I've ever had. And especially in China, it is just, the culture is so different. It's wonderful and amazing, but it's just really, really different. And it took a little bit to adjust.
I know. That's why I loved China so much, because, we went to China, Myanmar, and Vietnam and Thailand, and they're all like kind of pretty different, but like the other countries we went to, I mean, Myanmar was a little bit different and stuff, but, Thailand is very tourist oriented. You know what I mean? A lot of people speak English, they're very catering to tourists, whereas like the Chinese culture is not tourism oriented. So it's like, yeah, really, you feel like you're going kind of back in time and you're going into this crazy, we could tell travel stories all day, but there was one time when we went and tried to climb, around Asia, rock climb, and we were trying to find this climbing area, and this one taxi, motorbike taxi guy was like driving us around, both Brett and I, on the back of his like little motorbike taxi, and we have our giant climbing packs too. So it's like,
oh my God.
And he's driving us up the mountain on like this dirt trail. He drove us all around town. We were like trying to find the area. And then finally we like go under this underpass and like up this mountain. And then he gets off his bike. He starts hiking with us up to like the rock face and stuff. And he's like pointing at it. He's like, that's it.
Full service right there.
I know. We gave him a tip. We were like, thank you, sir. But anyway, oh my gosh, I love that so much. And yeah, I think you guys, if you want to talk travel with Katie, like definitely give her a follow on Instagram. Go look at her YouTube videos too, because I just feel like it's so fun to have these conversations and with people about travel. And I feel like having these conversations together really helps to like open your eyes to it, really helps to appreciate each other's cultures, and also like gets you excited for it in that way. So we could trade travel stories all day. Real quick, have I invited you to join the Feel Good Social Club yet? Oh man, my friend, I would love for you to check out our new monthly membership for down-to-earth entrepreneurs who are ready to create content with ease, actually show up and strategically market your business online every month, and also make friends with rad down-to-earth entrepreneurs who are just like you, who get it, who are in the posting trenches with you, and who are ever ready to give you a friendly air high five or kick in the accountability booty whenever you need it. The Feel Good Social Club is where it is at. Check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. In the club, we have a content library full of Canva templates and tutorials and resources to help you make content creation as easy as possible. We also have monthly content planning workshops where we all come together and talk about the upcoming month's strategy for our content. And we also have community forums where you can get together, ask questions of other club members, brainstorm ideas, ask for feedback. So definitely check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Our Feel Good members are seriously some of the most amazing people that I have ever met. And I would love for you to join us, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Check it out. Join today. We would love to see you in there, my friend. All right, let's dive back into today's episode. But I do want to talk about YouTube and the way you've been kind of like marketing your business and stuff, because you actually have started a travel vlog. I watched your Antarctica video and it was, guys, the penguins are like freaking adorable. And it's so interesting. Like, it's not one of those things that you see a lot, and like seeing you like camping on the in the snow, like without a tent. I was like, what the heck is going on here? And doing the
I did not know that I was signing up for that part when
you didn't.
Well, I was like, oh, I'm in the camp. And then they're like, oh yeah, you just dig a hole. And I was like,
oh. You're like, wait, where's my tent?
Yeah, did not realize that was what I was signing up for, but I mean, it was incredible.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. Yeah, I like cannot wait to watch more of your vlogs about Antarctica, because like now I'm like, wait, what the heck is all of this stuff? But so when it comes to marketing Brio travel, what's your process, I guess, for like the vlogging, for getting content and turning it into YouTube videos and all that stuff?
That is an excellent question that I don't really have a good answer to, because so far it's just been like, well, I'll just kind of like put this together as I kind of continue to like get more experience doing it. I do try to like think about it ahead of time and, what I want to say, what I want to talk about, and then making sure that I like know what I'm talking about. So I'm not just like spreading fake news or just saying, incorrect stuff, especially when you're dealing with like other people's cultures. I think it's really important to make sure to get it right. And so I do have to now make sure that I'm like planning ahead and knowing what I want to talk about and what I want to showcase. And then making sure it's been hard to find a balance as well in getting the footage, but also like enjoying it in the moment, like when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm just trying to also really lean into my audience and ask them like what they think or what they want to know more about, because there's some stuff that is obvious to me, or not obvious, but like I just don't even think about, and other people like ask questions about it. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you didn't know that. So like we can talk about that. Or people are curious about things that I just don't even think about. So now I'm trying to really lean into my audience and kind of ask them what they want. I mean, whatever, that's like marketing for the one, I guess, but it's taken me a while.
That's like, that's such a great tip though. I just have to like break in real quick because that is one of those things that I still forget, and I've been in the marketing business for like a while, but yeah, it's like, it's not something that a lot of new people realize is like, yes, like listen to your freaking audience. And there are so many things that we find obvious being in the center of our businesses, being the center of our industry, being the experts in our industry that like our people don't know and they're curious about, right? Like some of my past like course members and stuff, like I've asked them, what's your favorite part of like, or what was the most helpful thing you learned and stuff? And they'll tell me something that like I thought was the smallest little part of the course in a way, you know what I mean? But like to them, it was like life-changing. So that is such great advice. And it's also easy to kind of forget that, even if you already know it. So just like take that as a reminder, you guys, like if your audience members or ideal customers or like clients, like actual clients ever ask you any questions or get curious about something or point something out or say something like, oh my gosh, yeah, that was an aha moment for me. Like that is the stuff to create content around. So thanks for saying that, Katie.
Yes. Well, and I mean, I think it's really helpful as well. Just like, I mean, how I even found, you in the Feel Good Social in the first place is also having permission to change stuff up, not having to, being able to not follow all the rules and just kind of, like do a balance between doing what I want to do, because I might not do anything if that's the case. But also like just you don't have to be so rigidly following exactly what like everything everyone is saying, and then also really taking the like larger bits of content and being able to break them down into smaller ones and using that for other stuff. That thought had truly like never occurred to me before, and it's a huge like time saver and like brain energy saver and stuff to know that like I not only have the permission to do it, but like you should be doing that to make life so much easier. I just, had never even thought about that before. So.
Oh, we got it. Totally. Oh, gosh. Yes. Let's talk about content repurposing and breaking things up and talking about things from different angles, guys, because this is one of those life-changing things for me too. Also, not following all the rules for sure has been like a backbone, like the lesson I've learned again and again and again when it comes to business. But so basically a little backstory, guys, like Katie and I were talking about her YouTube videos and like how awesome they were. And she created this like kind of 15-minute, like big vlog, like a long vlog, kind of like going through her voyage to Antarctica. And I was like, that was such an amazing video. Like you should totally create one that's like specifically about those penguins, because I want to hear more about those penguins, right? And you should also create one specifically about when you were when you like camped in the snow without a tent on like the banks of Antarctica. And I was like, what the heck are you doing there? Like, I want to know more about that and stuff. So basically it's like taking your big themes and your big pieces of content and breaking them down and reusing them again and again, going wide, but then going deep with like a lot of things. Would you say, Katie?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I kind of just assumed I was like one and done. I've like told people I went and I like showed them it and like, that's cool. Now what the heck do I do for all of my, all the rest of everything? And that's also like so overwhelming too, because if you think about it that way, you're just like, how am I ever going to be able to come up with all of those ideas, and then it to a point where it can be crippling because you don't do anything about it because you're like, I will never have that many ideas. I will never be able to like consistently put out that many ideas. And so just to think about it with that one example, can give me a bunch of different stuff. And then if I do that to everything, like it, done kind of thing.
Oh my gosh. I'm like laughing over here, guys, because like I get that so much. And this is the the pattern that I always run into, I feel like with people is like, okay, we start out with like content creation being like, okay, I could only use this once. Or like I talked about Antarctica, like now I need to move on to Italy and Argentina, or like, or like, I don't know what else to talk about, like that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden you start thinking about breaking things up and diving deeper into different topics and approaching things from different angles. And all of a sudden it's the opposite side of this overwhelmed spectrum where you're like, whoa, I have way too many ideas. Yeah. So that happens to me too all the time. But like, just like thinking about your Antarctica video for an example and stuff, like I think it's so, so cool. It was such a great, interesting video. And like, you can not only, like one of the cool things too, to think about is not only can you deep dive into creating a penguin video and, the orca video and just like life on a boat video kind of thing, but you can also like approach those topics talking about different things or like from different angles, right? So like the penguins, you could almost create like a video that's like 5 fun facts about penguins. You could create a video that's like 3 bloopers from penguins or something that I caught on camera. You could talk about like I'm trying to like come up with these off the top of my head, but like the history of penguins, I don't know, but like there's different ways you could talk about penguins, even just like that,
Yeah. Well, and even you just like right now, like I've had like ideas come into my brain, like even just like listen to you like talk about it. So yeah, it's crazy just like how endless that can be. Again, just like kind of like thinking outside the box or just like looking at it from a different way can really just like change everything.
Yeah. Well, and like we said before too, kind of coming full circle, it's like it's really hard to do this when you are in the center of your business, right? Like, I think that this is why having a coach, having a community, asking your clients and ideal customers and stuff, like what they think or what they're curious about and stuff. And even, you came to the Feel Good Social Club meetings, like everyone's like coming in with ideas and stuff. Like it's so much better if you can find like that community or even just like a biz bestie to like bounce ideas off of, because when you're in the center of your business, it's like everything seems obvious to you. You're overloaded with all the knowledge, and it's hard to take yourself outside your box on your own, if that sentence makes sense. So, so I think that finding a community or finding a coach or a friend to like help you brainstorm ideas is always a good idea for that too,
Yeah, I totally agree. Just being able to even just like saying stuff out loud sometimes. And I can also hear, if I like talk about it, I can hear the excuses come out of my mouth and being like, oh yeah, no, I'm just like making an excuse. Where in my head, it was like totally legit, like why I couldn't do this or why like this wasn't working. And when it comes out of my mouth, I'm like, oh, maybe if I just like change this, or maybe I need to like calm down or whatever. But having people who understand what you're going through and look at it in a similar way as like business owners, but also from a different perspective is like so crucial, I think, and like super, super helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, not to toot the Feel Good Social Club's horn too much or anything, guys, but I do think that's what's so cool about our community, right? Because we are all business owners, but we have we're in so many different industries and have different types of businesses and come from different backgrounds. So that's where I think like those discussions are so cool, right? Like we get on the calls and like everyone has like a different suggestion and everyone's like throwing like feedback in and stuff. And so it's so fun. But okay. I do want to talk quickly about your content creation gathering that you mentioned. Like you go on your trips and you're like kind of trying to plan it out, but then it's like somewhat hard to find the balance between like getting the content versus enjoying your trip, which honestly, I feel so hard as well, because, actually kind of what kickstarted me getting into marketing, like down the road, like 2.5, 3 years later after the trip, was the fact that I tried to start a travel blog.
Oh, no way.
When we went to Asia, I was like, I'm going to start Climb Abroad. It's like climb around the world, like travel blog. I'm going to get Insta famous.
I love that.
I mean, it was awesome. I totally gave it up. I'm pretty sure after China, because I was like so annoyed with like trying to, I really wanted to enjoy the trip. Right. And I think that
it's hard to do it on like in real time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that too. I didn't even think about that. Like for you, you did not post at all when you were in Antarctica, which you probably couldn't have because you didn't really have service. But like you did take all of the Antarctica video footage and photos, and then you came back from Antarctica and then created content around it. So I do love that tip so much.
Yeah. Well, I also think that it's helpful. I mean, partly because I couldn't because of the connection, but what happens to me sometimes if I'm posting like in real time is I'll make a reel or I'll make a post or something about like, oh, this like thing that I did. And then I get like later I go back and I get a much better shot or I get more information on it and I can't take back, not that I want to like take back what I said, but I want to like add to it, or I like looking at it with like a full picture from like afterwards, as opposed to in the moment where a lot of it's just posting on emotion or just like excitement or just like exhaustion, like, oh, I just like have to do this. And you can enjoy it more, but I think you also get a better look at it you can look at it like all at once as opposed to these like smaller things. And so that really helps me get an idea of like what I have and what I can do with that once I have everything there.
Yeah, you can see like the full picture, how things fit together, what you want to use where. Exactly. And I love that. I love that so much. And I think that it's an awesome permission slip for people. This was another like big mindset thing that I've run into with a lot of people who are just starting out in their business and just starting to post on social media, is that you don't have to post things in real time, right? And like it's so much better like to just take some content and then come back later and edit it together and post it and stuff. I mean, that's what I do just like in my daily life. Whenever we go take walks with the dogs and stuff like that, I'll take like, cute photos and cute videos. And then a week later, maybe I'll create a reel out of it or something with like a text overlay or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you also like want to be able to, if people are responding to that, you want to be able to like interact with them. And so it's much easier to do that like when you're either back home or in the hotel or whatever, as opposed to like if they're in the moment. And so especially like for me, like if people are like, oh, like I want to go there, how do I go there? Whatever, like it's much better for me to be answering those questions when I'm not traveling, because I can be significantly more helpful.
Yes. I love that so much. And then also too, so another thing we had chatted about in one of the Feel Good Social Club meetings was the idea of possibly you could do some voiceovers or something. Cause like, I do think that that's another thing that like I would worry about for sure as like a travel blogger was, doing face to camera videos and like being able to talk people through what's happening on the scene. But I mean, and of course, whenever we went to China, everyone was like walking around with their cell phones on like the sticks and like talking and vlogging was getting like really big. I feel like when we went and stuff, but it's still kind of embarrassing sometimes, or I feel weird sometimes like talking into my cell phone in public and stuff like that, And so how do you feel about like, we were suggesting maybe like for some of the videos that you create where you didn't do a face to camera, you could maybe do like a voiceover or something like explaining what's happening and stuff. Have you played around with that at all or?
Yeah, I mean, I love that idea because sometimes I do just like feel kind of silly, or I like wish that I like knew more about it and could like talk about it, but like need to go back and do more research on it. And so then because I'm not doing it in real time, I felt like I just have to like cut that part out of it. And so I think it'll give me back so much more content because now I can do like a voiceover on top of the footage. The footage is also just infuriating because YouTube wants you to do it like one way, and then your like reels and other things is like totally. So I have to have like twice the footage of everything if I want to be able to have, like use it for YouTube and use it for like reels.
Right. Do you just mean like formatting, like vertical versus
Yeah.
horizontal? Is there any other tips that you have for us when it comes to that, or anything that you've noticed or that you have to take care of? Because I'm not a huge YouTuber, but as I've told you, I am somewhat maybe gonna start doing some YouTubing. I don't know. So anyway, tell us like your tips or tricks for any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to take everything twice. There was a geyser in Iceland that was like a massive spout, and I was like, guys, like I was with my friends, and I was like, we have to stay for the next round because I need to get it in a different format. So like, sorry, because I took it one way and then I had to take it vertical again, and so kind of having the foresight if you are going to want to be using it on other platforms, it does just like it works so much better to have it in the way that they're asking you to have it. So that's like kind of annoying, but another reason you just have to like really be thinking ahead as far as like what you're gonna need, because it's frustrating to go back and not have it, and also not necessarily being married to like one or the other. There are some places that have like just videos. I'm like, I wish I had like photos to share of this, or vice versa. And so it can be tough to have to go through so much content, but it's also an excellent like airplane activity because you have like no Wi-Fi, and so you're just like kind of like sorting through all your content and stuff. But yeah, I think planning ahead for that, just to know what you're going to need, even just in case, even if you're not using it right away, you never know.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, I love that tip so much too. And you know what I've really been liking? iPhone people, the live photo feature of iPhones is like so fun for like creating little reels and stuff like that. Like if you just are taking your photos with like the live photo feature, it turns it into like a little video kind of thing. And sometimes if you take multiple in a row, it'll like link them together and stuff. And sometimes it can be like a little bit jerky and stuff like that. But still, it's really fun for like reels. And then you have like a little video snippet, even if you were just taking photos and stuff.
Oh
Right?
that's a really good tip.
What do you edit your videos with? Do you have a software that you like, or?
I use Movavi because I have an iPhone, but I'm not like an Apple person. Like I don't have a suite of Apple products, so I have a PC, and so for that I use Movavi.
Movavi?
Movavi, I believe, and
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, I haven't tried that one yet. So maybe we'll have to like look that one up and stuff. That sounds awesome. I'm also one of those people who has an iPhone, but I'm like not really an Apple computer type of person or the whole suite either. So that'll be helpful too. But oh man, I could talk to you all freaking day about all this stuff. But it's been such a great conversation, Katie. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Can you share how everyone can connect with you, find out more about you? Because I know they'll want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my Instagram is Brio Travel _, so BRIO travel _. And then through that, you can also find all my YouTube stuff and my website. But my website is travelbrio.com. And there's a ton of like free travel resources as well if you just want the information and you love planning your trips and stuff. And so a ton of information on countries and visiting, and just like a lot of travel resources for kind of anything and everything on there as well.
Yay. Okay. And we will link everything in the show notes too, so people can find you really easily. But thank you again so much, honey. It's been such a great conversation. I absolutely love chatting with you.
This was so much fun.
How great was Katie, you guys? This was actually her first podcast interview. And at the end, I was like, dang, you killed it. Good job. And man, I could geek out about travel with her all day. So definitely go connect with her. Go watch her awesome penguin YouTube videos. Like, so adorable. She has so much awesome knowledge to share. And I love her angle of approaching travel from that like cultural, sustainable, responsible way. It truly just fills your heart up and makes you feel like you're doing something good as you are experiencing other cultures and traveling around the world, right? Like so amazing. So definitely go connect with her over on Instagram. She's at Brio Travel _ I'm at Feel Good Social. If you give me a follow, let me know that you came from the podcast. Send me a message because then I will definitely follow you back because I love to connect with my listeners over there. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.